Just as my fiancé and I were about to get married, his pregnant ex-wife returned. He left me in the wedding car to pick her up, and then let her be the bride at our wedding, and live in my house. His ex-wife provoked me daily. They were having an affair in the master bedroom, and even the nanny mocked me. At the cruise gala, she broke my leg, and I faked my death by jumping into the sea and was rescued. Later, my fiancé discovered the child wasn't his, cut ties with his ex-wife, and cried, begging for my forgiveness, but I told him to get lost. Finally, his ex-wife, unwilling to give up, ran him over with a car and then died herself. I went to the mall, bought some clothes, changed, and then directly threw the wedding dress into the trash can. I opened my phone to dozens of missed calls from my parents and friends. Meanwhile, Ethan's few messages, every word of them, pierced right into my heart. Olivia, I can't reach you. For now, I let Summer take your place as the bride. We never had a wedding when I married her, so consider this compensation for her. Remember to thank Summer. It was really hard for her to wear such a heavy wedding dress while pregnant. Oh, and I'm taking Summer home to stay first, to take care of her until she gives birth and finds stability. You know, she's my ex-wife. I'll always have an undeniable responsibility toward her. You wouldn't want me to be a heartless man, would you? I stared intently at the screen, pulling the corners of my lips into a bitter smile. Yes, he truly was a loyal and principled man. It's just that this loyalty was always reserved only for Summer. When Summer's boyfriend passed away from illness, he immediately took a red-eye flight to the US to offer his condolences. I couldn't understand, but he took it as a matter of course. Olivia, she's still my ex-wife. Even if there's no love, there's still a familial bond. She really needs me right now. And what was the result? That 12,000-kilometer flight was just to ensure his sperm was safely delivered. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had brutally squeezed it. I tilted my head back, blinking hard to keep the tears from falling. I decided to go home, pack my luggage, and completely leave this absurd farce. As soon as I pushed open the front door, I saw Summer busy at the dining table, wearing an apron. Seeing me, she greeted me warmly, like the lady of the house. You must be Olivia. Let's just call each other sisters from now on. Come, have a seat, the meal is freshly made. Ethan was behind her, naturally untying her apron, his fingers lingering at her waist. I told you the housekeeper could cook. How can you cook yourself when you're pregnant? Summer said, lowering her head and wiping the corner of her eye. But you love my homemade dishes the most. I noticed you've lost a lot of weight since you came back these past 2 years. Ethan immediately felt a pang of sympathy and wiped away her tears. There. With you taking care of me at home from now on, I'll regain it quickly. Then, he turned to me and smiled. Olivia, come quickly and try Summer's cooking. Honestly, I've been craving this for 2 years. Watching his attentive manner, I suddenly understood something. He wasn't craving the dish at all, it was the person who made it. No wonder every time I cooked these past 2 years, he always said he had no appetite. It wasn't that the meal wasn't to his taste, it was that even his stomach only favored Summer. A bitter pang rose in my chest, and I walked straight to the bedroom. I'm tired, I need to rest. Summer blinked helplessly, and tears immediately welled up in her eyes. Ethan, does Olivia dislike me? Ethan, predictably, couldn't bear to see her suffer even the slightest grievance, and his face instantly darkened. Stop. Summer already went through a lot being your stand-in bride today, and she even specially cooked for you. If you're not going to thank her, then who are you giving that attitude to? Thank her. I scoffed. You left me in the wedding car halfway to pick her up, let her be the bride in my place at the wedding, and now you're being intimate, affectionate in front of me, even having a child. Ethan, why don't you just go back to her? Why bother pretending, insincere about caring for me? I've already explained about the wedding. Ethan suddenly raised his voice. You're bringing up old issues now. Are you deliberately trying to embarrass Summer? Summer rushed over and took my hand. Olivia, Ethan and I have been together for so long. We've always treated each other like family. I really didn't pay attention to those details. Even with the baby now, I have no romantic intentions toward him. Otherwise, why would we have gotten divorced in the first place? Without waiting for my reply, she feigned nonchalance and looked at Ethan. I didn't realize Olivia would mind our past so much. Maybe I should just move out. When we divorced, I said I wouldn't bother you. If you occasionally think of our child and me, just come visit. Most importantly, pay the child support on time. With that, she forced a smile, sat down, picked up Ethan's and my matching bowls, and began shoveling down the rice. But tears wouldn't stop streaming down her face. She quickly wiped them away with the back of her hand, and choked out, "Don't worry, Olivia, I'll leave as soon as I finish eating. Staying in a hotel is fine." Before she finished speaking, she suddenly began to retch violently, crying heart-wrenchingly, "Baby, I'm sorry. Dad's new partner doesn't like us, and Mommy can't give you a complete home." Ethan immediately rushed over, pulled her into his arms, and gently comforted her. When he looked up at me again, his eyes were full of blame and disgust. "Olivia, what exactly do you want? Will you only be satisfied if you force Summer to die?" I chose to ignore him, and turned to go upstairs, but Ethan suddenly chased after me, blocking my path. He impatiently ran his hands through his hair. "Summer and I are just family. There's no romantic relationship between us at all. Why do you insist on not letting it go?" "Family," I scoffed. "Do family members have children together? Ethan, are you trying to trick me like I'm a 3-year-old? He frowned deeply, explaining reluctantly, "When Summer's ex-boyfriend died, she almost committed suicide to join him. I gave her a child to give her the courage to live on," he said, suddenly grabbing my wrist. "Olivia, your family, the Olivia family's estate, has been practicing medicine for generations? You are the most compassionate and skilled healer. You wouldn't be hard-hearted and unwilling to help. Just consider it you saving Summer's life. Can you please not dwell on this anymore?" Compassionate and skilled healer. I pulled my hand free from his, a sarcastic laugh escaping my lips. "I am hard-hearted. I want to watch her die. If she dies, you won't be thinking about her anymore." Smack. A sharp slap landed hard on my face. Ethan's chest heaved violently, his eyes bloodshot. "If she dies, I'll make you pay for it." My left cheek stung, but the pain was a fraction of what I felt in my heart. 5 years of our relationship, and this was the first time he had laid a hand on me. Whenever it concerned Summer, the always composed and elegant Ethan would transform into this violent state. I suddenly felt disheartened. "Ethan, you've hit me. You've cursed at me. Let's just break up. Anyway, we haven't registered our marriage yet, and I wasn't the one who said the vows at the wedding. The whole thing has been a joke from start to finish." He visibly froze for a moment, then suddenly embraced me tightly. "Olivia, sweetie, stop this. I know you care about the marriage certificate. We'll go get it in a few days, okay? Summer won't stay here permanently. She'll move out once she finds a new place, 2 years at most, trust me. She's pretty and has a good personality, she has plenty of admirers, so she won't have trouble finding someone else, but I need to vet them carefully for her. She's too naive and has a child, so she could easily be taken advantage of." I coldly cut him off. "No need to look. You care about her so much, and you're the child's biological father, so you're the best choice." His body stiffened, and he abruptly released me, a sarcastic smile twisting his lips. "Do you think I can't live without you? It was you who desperately, shamelessly wanted to marry me back then." I lowered my head and said softly, "Yes, I deserved it." Our arranged marriage, family alliance was set by Grandfather Thompson because my father saved his life on the operating table 20 years ago. My father, though he jokingly agreed, never took it seriously. He always said, "My darling daughter, of course, should marry someone she loves." But, unfortunately, I failed to live up to expectations in context of Ethan losing Olivia by falling for Ethan. 3 years ago, he went to the US to pursue his degree and married Summer, a gentle yet stubborn, a fragile and innocent student from a humble background, in Las Vegas. Upon hearing the news, I immediately proposed to break off the engagement. But he knelt before me, his eyes bloodshot, pleading, "Olivia, I only love you. I've already divorced her. Will you please forgive me this one time?" At that time, I was soft-hearted and forgave him. It was all my own fault, I deserved it. "Ethan, it's normal for Olivia to be young and naive. You should be more accommodating. Unlike me. I've long been used to sacrificing my own feelings." Summer stood at the door, dragging her luggage, forcing a smile and waving at us. "I'm leaving now. Don't see me off. Get lost." Ethan suddenly snapped, roughly pushed me out of the way and chased after Summer. My feet slipped and I fell heavily down the stairs. Excruciating pain instantly swept through my entire body. My vision swam, and sharp pain shot through my limbs and head. But Ethan stepped directly over me, not even sparing a glance. He frantically embraced Summer from behind, his voice trembling. "Summer, you have no family or friends in the country, and you're pregnant. Where could you possibly go? Are you trying to worry me to death? Summer stubbornly wiped away her tears, forcing a smile. I can take care of myself. If worst comes to worst, there are so many men out there. Surely someone will be willing to take care of my child, and me. I forbid it. Ethan interrupted her furiously, pulling her hand and heading back. As she passed me, Summer feigned concern. Should we call a doctor for Olivia? She seems to be badly hurt. Ethan glanced coldly at me, curled up on the ground, his tone indifferent. No need. She's a doctor, she can help herself. Ultimately, the housekeeper couldn't stand it anymore, and made the emergency call for me. When I woke up, it was already the next day. The hospital bed was empty beside me, and there was a message from Ethan on my phone. I'm sorry, I thought you were faking it. I'm with Summer for her prenatal checkup today. I'll come see you tomorrow. I called the housekeeper and asked him to send my essential documents back to the Olivia family's estate. I wouldn't set foot in that place ever again. The nurse came in with the CT scan, hesitating as if to speak. Dr. Olivia, a mild concussion requires hospital observation. I heard you just got married yesterday. What happened? Hit by a mad dog. I smiled dismissively. Well, wasn't it? Ethan, protecting Summer, looked exactly like a protective, vicious dog. Suppressing the pang of pain in my heart, I let my parents know I was safe. Scrolling through my social media feed, e.g., Instagram, I saw Summer's newly updated 9-picture grid, e.g., Instagram grid. 8 sweet photos of her and Ethan at the wedding, with a bouquet of red roses glistening with morning dew in the center. The caption read, "Loving someone isn't just about saying it, it's about what they do." I truly liked it. That sentence was truly a moment of clarity, an epiphany, reminding me just how much Ethan loved her. She loved red roses the most. For the past 2 years, Ethan regularly sends a bouquet, come rain or shine, every week. They video called every day. Ethan thought it was perfectly normal, just regular friends chatting. Every New Year's Eve, he would fly to the US to be with her because she'd be lonely. Traditional pastries, Thanksgiving pies, Christmas gifts, all holiday presents were never missed. When faced with my questions, he always adopted a preaching tone. Olivia, even after a marriage ends, there's still responsibility. We'll be tied together for life. This has nothing to do with love. But if there's no love, what man would willingly take on such a responsibility? A few minutes later, Summer sent a voice recording. When I played it, her tearful voice came through. Ethan, can we not get divorced? You clearly still love me. Why did you agree to the arranged marriage, family alliance? Ethan sighed softly. Grandfather issued an ultimatum. He owes the Olivia family's estate a life, and he insists I marry Olivia to repay this debt of gratitude. He hates not honoring a commitment the most. Even if it weren't me, it would be another member of the Thompson family. But if that happened, I would be permanently disowned, removed from the family line. Summer timidly asked, then do you like Olivia? After a long silence, Ethan's voice was frighteningly calm. No. My heart suddenly twisted in pain. In truth, it wasn't that I hadn't suspected he had no feelings for me. But every time I asked him, he would look at me, with that unfamiliar gaze. Olivia, can't you feel how I am towards you? Do I have to say it? Fine, listen closely. You are the love of my life. Thinking about it now, the words, love of my life, in his mouth were probably just neutral terms, devoid of any emotional color. My phone suddenly vibrated. As soon as I answered, Jack's voice, both excited and anxious, came through. Olivia, the wedding preparations are already underway. We agreed to get married in a week, so don't you dare back out. Before I could answer, he added fiercely, if you dare back out, I'll move into your hospital permanently, hire you as my private doctor, make sure you're swamped, and never let you marry anyone else this lifetime. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. Jax, you've been talking tough since you were a kid. When have you ever actually followed through? Olivia, you've been smart-mouthed, snarky since you were a kid. Just wait until we're married, and I'll show you how I'll deal with you. Just try it. Try me. HMPH. HMPH. We hung up simultaneously, and the next second, I burst out laughing. The Olivia and Cold families had been family friends for generations, and Jax was my childhood friend. Every time we met, it was either bickering or arguing. When he suddenly confessed his feelings at 18, I thought it was a prank and immediately rejected him. Who knew he was serious? From then on, he never stopped pursuing me. Until the day Ethan and I got engaged, he said with red eyes, Olivia, you'll never get a good man like me. Yet yesterday, This young master, who always said one thing and meant another, still secretly went to crash the wedding, stop the wedding. Thinking of this, the corners of my lips unconsciously curved upward. Perhaps, marrying this man who knows everything about each other and can make me laugh heartily, would be a good choice. Bang. The hospital room door was violently kicked open. Ethan rushed in, his eyes bloodshot, grabbed my wrist, and started dragging me out. Olivia. How dare you complain to grandfather? He's now forcing Summer to go abroad. I didn't complain. I was dizzy from his pulling, mechanically repeating myself. Still making excuses, he roared, his breathing so rapid it was almost trembling. What have I ever done to you, Summer? Is it just because she's my ex-wife? But that's a fact that can never be changed. I stared blankly at this stranger, my voice hoarse. Ethan, yesterday she stood at the wedding venue in a wedding dress, with so many guests watching. Grandfather Thompson is just meditating in his private study, retreat, not isolated from the world. Ethan suddenly froze as if waking from a dream, his hands clamping tightly around my wrists. Olivia, my mind was too muddled just now, I'm sorry. His voice trembled, and hot tears fell onto the back of my hand. Please go beg grandfather. Only you can persuade him to let Summer stay now. Seeing my silence, he actually knelt down. We'll go register our marriage tomorrow. I'll agree to anything you want. I looked at his trembling shoulders and suddenly laughed out loud. All right, I only have one condition. Tell me. He looked up eagerly. Cancel the engagement, and we never see each other again from now on. Impossible. I can't lose you. He suddenly stood up, his voice hoarse like a trapped beast. But I can't just abandon Summer either. I cut him off. Don't worry, I'll tell grandfather that I broke up with you. You won't have any responsibility. All right. I suppressed my dizziness and walked out. Ethan hurried after me to support me. Olivia, it's not what you think. Never mind. We'll go register our marriage tomorrow. That should put your mind at ease, right? He drove recklessly, speeding all the way to the airport VIP lounge. Upon seeing us, Grandfather Thompson kindly waved. Olivia, this time, the Thompson family has wronged you. He then glanced coldly at Summer, who was slumped on the ground. The Thompson family will never acknowledge this woman and child. I took a deep breath. Grandfather Thompson, I want to let them be together. The words had barely left my lips when Summer suddenly grabbed the liquor bottle from the table and violently smashed it against her own head. Blood instantly snaked down her pale cheek. She pushed away a bewildered Ethan, then, forcing herself, knelt on the ground and gave me a mocking smile. Olivia, if I die, I won't be in your way anymore. Ethan and I are innocent. I won't accept such baseless slander. Before she finished speaking, she fell heavily to the ground. Grandfather Thompson was a deeply spiritual man, and couldn't stand to witness such a scene. He snorted coldly and stormed off, walked away in anger. Only Ethan's heart-wrenching cries were left in the VIP lounge. Olivia, save her. You're a doctor, you must have a way. I steadied myself, leaning on the sofa, my heart turning cold. After all these years, he didn't even know I was an internist, and had no idea how to handle such external injuries. After making the emergency call, I turned to leave. Ethan suddenly grabbed the liquor bottle, and threw it at me, his eyes frighteningly sinister. Olivia, how can you be so callous? If anything happens to Summer, I'll never let you off the hook for this. The liquor bottle struck the back of my head with a heavy thud. Excruciating pain surged, and warm liquid trickled down my neck. I felt a wave of dizziness and collapsed softly onto the ground. Through the haze, I saw a familiar figure rush in and knock Ethan to the ground with a single punch. You trashy divorced man, jerk, marrying Olivia was your incredibly lucky, had a lucky break. How dare you not cherish her? I'm going to teach you a lesson today. 2 days later, I woke up in the hospital. I saw Ethan sitting by the hospital bed, his face bruised. Seeing me awake, his dull eyes suddenly brightened. Olivia, I misunderstood you. I thought you didn't want to save Summer. I didn't want to respond. Anyway, in his heart, I was just a wicked person. Seeing my silence, he eagerly leaned closer. Olivia, will you just say something? I impatiently closed my eyes. Get out. Ethan's face instantly darkened, but he stubbornly remained seated. Just then, the hospital room door was pushed open, and Jax walked in, holding a large bouquet of flowers. Seeing Ethan, his handsome eyes narrowed dangerously. Well, if it isn't the divorced guy, he sneered. I just stepped out to buy some flowers, and you already sneaked in. Ethan abruptly stood up, his fists clenched, knuckles cracking. Sir, please mind your language. I don't appreciate being called a divorced man. And when I see my wife, it's none of your business. Jax placed the flowers on the bedside table, and laughed contemptuously. Ethan, you are a divorced man. And, wife. I saw clearly with my own eyes, that the one wearing the wedding dress at the wedding wasn't my fiancé, Olivia. Fiancé. Ethan raised his voice and turned to me. Olivia, who is this random guy, other man? Explain yourself. Explain. I scoffed inwardly. I had told him countless times to call off the engagement, but he never took it seriously. For Summer, he hurled insults at me, and even resorted to physical harm. I was utterly disappointed in this man. For me to explain, does he even deserve it? I ignored him directly, and weakly looked at Jax. Jax, I have a headache. Jax immediately sat by the bed and naturally took my hand. The doctor said you've had 2 concussions within a few days, and need to rest, recuperate. His thumb gently rubbed the inside of my wrist, a comforting small gesture. Ethan's gaze was sharp. Let her go. Why should I? Jax asked without lifting his head. Because you abandoned her in the wedding car. Or because you almost killed her for your ex-wife. Ethan's expression froze. These are all misunderstandings. Just then, the doctor pushed the door open. Mr. Thompson, your wife is awake. There are some important things we need to go over. Olivia, I'll settle this with you when I get back. Ethan threw out these words and hastily left. As soon as the hospital room door closed, Jack suddenly hugged me tightly, his voice choked with emotion. Olivia, Ethan is such a scumbag. If you had told me earlier, how could I have just watched him ruin your life for 5 years? How dare that divorced man mistreat, abuse, the girl I've cherished for so many years? I helplessly patted his back. I was the one who was hurt, yet now I had to comfort him. Jax, I'm not even crying. Why are you? Can't I just be worried, concerned? He buried his face in my shoulder, wiping away his tears. I always taught you to be tough on men, but you only ever used it on me. I pulled out a tissue and handed it to him. Can you wipe your tears on the tissue? His eyes darted, and he leaned in with a mischievous grin. You wiped them for me. I reached out and pinched his cheek. Not to be outdone, he tugged my hair. Sure enough, every time we met, it always ended in an argument. Just as I was wondering if we'd argue every day after marriage, he suddenly cupped the back of my head and leaned in to kiss me. My face instantly flushed. His ears flushed red, yet he still pretended to be calm. No more arguing after this. As long as you give me a kiss, I'll let you have your way. Ethan froze in place, his ears ringing. Mr. Thompson, your wife's external injuries are fine, but the fetus is already 5 months old and underdeveloped, so she needs to be hospitalized for recuperation. 5 months. He only went to the US to find her 3 months ago. This child isn't his. Unable to hear what else the doctor said, Ethan turned and stormed into the hospital room. Summer, he roared, his voice sharp. Why did you lie to me? The woman on the hospital bed looked up in panic, her pale face still streaked with undried tears. Ethan, I don't know what you're talking about. He suddenly felt sick to his stomach, nauseous. 3 months ago, she had used that pitiful appearance to trick him into bed. Ethan took a deep breath, his chest heaving violently. You said you were with that man only because he had a terminal illness, to see him through to the end, and that you didn't have a physical relationship. Summer's eyelashes fluttered, and tears immediately streamed down her face. Ethan, he forced me. I didn't want to. Ethan scoffed. He was so sick he couldn't even get out of bed. How could he force you? Summer, is there any truth in what you say? He tremblingly pointed at her belly, his voice hoarse. Do you know? Even without this child, I would have taken care of you for life. I told you, you are my ex-wife, my responsibility. But why did you lie to me? Let me be a patsy, father. Let me lose Olivia. Summer stared blankly at him. Lose Olivia? You didn't even like her. What does it matter? Who said I didn't like her? He suddenly clenched his fists, practically roaring. After roaring, Ethan himself froze. A panic rose in his heart, and he softened his tone. People's feelings can change. Or perhaps they hadn't changed at all. Initially, saying Olivia was the love of his life was just to appease her, be perfunctory. After all, a casual remark from him could make her happy for an entire day. Later, he gradually began to be sincere, take it seriously, saying it with utmost sincerity every time. Olivia was so wonderful, of course, she deserved to be his love. Summer's eyes were full of sorrow. Ethan, 3 years ago, we'd known each other for less than a month, and you were begging me to marry you, saying you'd found the one. Was that my imagination? You always said you had a responsibility towards me. Setting aside responsibility, I just have one question. Did you ever love me? That question struck Ethan, and he began to reflect. 3 years ago, Summer was a struggling international student who earned a full scholarship through her own efforts. She was optimistic and cheerful, had her own aspirations, and was never bound by anyone or any rules. Unlike Olivia, who, even when forced into an arranged marriage, family alliance by her parents to marry someone she didn't like, never uttered a single complaint. She had no temper, no sharp edges, she was so docile it was infuriating. He didn't want to be passive, submissive like her, a tool for repaying a favor for grandfather. So, his first act of rebellion in his life was marrying Summer in the US, after knowing her for less than a month. Ethan. Summer suddenly raised her voice, choking out, "Is it really so hard to even answer that question?" Her fingertips dug deep into her palm, she already had her answer. He remained silent for a full 5 minutes on such a simple question of love or not. "Perhaps I loved you for a short time," Ethan finally said, his voice frighteningly calm. He regretted it just 3 days after their marriage. That night, he deliberately let it slip at a family gathering, ensuring the news reached grandfather's ears. All these years, his constant emphasis on responsibility towards Summer was merely to conceal his inner guilt. Because of guilt, he gave her a child and repeatedly favored her, yet he left Olivia's heart riddled with wounds. Summer suddenly knelt on the ground. "Ethan, please don't say angry words to me." Ethan turned away, calmly stating, "Summer, go back to the US. Don't contact me anymore." Heart-wrenching cries came from behind him, but his steps showed no hesitation. People always have to pay the price for youthful recklessness. Fortunately, it wasn't too late to try and win Olivia back. Jack swiftly arranged for me to be transferred to another hospital, citing the reason as preventing outsiders, irrelevant people, from disturbing me. Who this person was, went without saying. But unexpectedly, on the very night I transferred hospitals, Ethan showed up at the door. When the door was pushed open, Jax was holding a bowl of medicine, spoon-feeding it to me. Ethan stood frozen at the doorway, his gaze fixed on us, his Adam's apple bobbed, but he couldn't utter a single word. Jax and I exchanged a glance, tacitly choosing to ignore him. Ethan gritted his teeth, carrying fruit and flowers, and walked in, his voice low and hoarse, "Olivia." He stood by the bed, his fingers unconsciously tightening. "Can we talk alone for a moment?" "No." Jax interrupted coldly. "You're not welcome here." Ethan ignored his hostility and suddenly, with a thud, knelt directly in front of my hospital bed. He bowed his head, not even daring to look at me. "Olivia, I've been completely wrong these past few years. Whether you believe it or not, I want you to know the truth." I lowered my gaze, my tone calm. "I'm not interested." His breathing hitched, yet he continued to speak regardless, spoke very quickly, as if afraid of being interrupted again. "Summer's child is a posthumous child, it's not mine. 3 years ago, I married her to rebel against the Thompson family. Later, all my efforts to protect her were out of guilt. What I said about loving you was also sincere." He said, already sobbing uncontrollably, "Olivia, I've completely broken things off with Summer. Will you forgive me?" I closed my eyes and pressed my throbbing temples, my head aching severely. Jax immediately understood, gently massaging my temples, his gaze sharp as he swept it toward Ethan. "What kind of man cries like a baby here? My fiancé needs rest. If you want to put on a pity show, go perform it outside." Ethan seemed not to hear. His dark eyes were fixed solely on me. "Olivia, as long as you're willing to come back with me, I can change anything you don't like." "Enough. I've told you countless times that we're calling off the engagement. Why do you keep pestering me? We're over, do you understand?" I suddenly grabbed the glass cup and threw it, and blood immediately seeped from his forehead. Yet he acted as if he felt no pain, instead revealing a sickly smile. "Olivia, as long as it helps you vent your anger, you can hit me as much as you want. I don't mind." A violent headache suddenly struck. I lost control, grabbing the medicine bottle, fruit, vase, everything within reach, and hurled them at him. Ethan didn't dodge or flinch at all, letting blood stain the collar of his white shirt. Jax pulled me into his arms, his warm lips gently kissing my trembling eyelids. "Liv, sweetie, if you don't look, you won't be bothered. Go to sleep. Jax will stay with you." I gradually calmed down and fell into a deep sleep, under the influence of the medication. Jack's face darkened, and he grabbed Ethan's tie, roughly dragging him out of the hospital room. The moment the door closed, he grabbed the metal trash can from the hallway and swung it at Ethan's head. Ethan's vision went black from the blow, and vegetable scraps and soup dripped from his hair. He tremblingly wiped his face and lunged forward, ready to retaliate. Jax had already delivered a powerful side kick to his abdomen. Ethan staggered, hit the wall, and then fell heavily to the ground, coughing up blood. Ethan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and roared, "You lunatic! Always resorting to violence, don't you have a tongue to speak with?" Jax looked down at him condescendingly and suddenly smiled. "You pure trashy divorced man, a bastard who hits women, and you want to talk sense with me? When your voice makes Liv's stress headache flare up, why don't you consider whether you even deserve to speak?" Ethan suddenly froze, his pupils contracted sharply. "Who exactly are you?" Jax leaned down and yanked his hair. "I'm her childhood friend, the man who's secretly adored her for over a decade, an your nemesis, Ethan." Ethan suddenly flared up. "You hooked up this early." Jack's slap sent him sprawling to the ground again. "You filthy mouth. Yesterday you were so brave calling me a random guy, weren't you? If it weren't for how much she liked you, do you think I would have let go 5 years ago?" he said, lowering his voice and curving the corner of his lips. "I should actually thank you for having failed to live up to expectations, in context of Ethan, losing Olivia, and now for having personally pushed her back into my arms." After Jax finished speaking, he turned and left. Ethan tried to get up and follow, but 2 men in black immediately restrained him. "Mr. Thompson, grandfather wants to see you." Ethan knelt before a traditional sculpture, his entire body stiff. He feared his grandfather most in his life, yet he insisted on doing things that enraged the old man. The silence of his contemplation was abruptly broken. "Grandfather Thompson," fingering his prayer beads, his voice like ice, "the Olivia family has called off the engagement. In this lifetime, I ultimately owed an unpayable debt." 2 paths. Grandfather opened his eyes, a cold glint appearing within them. "Either you're disowned by the Thompson family, or you remarry Summer and stay far away from the Olivia family's estate's girl from now on." Ethan didn't hesitate, bowing deeply. "Grandfather, I choose neither." Grandfather's fingers suddenly tightened, but his face remained serene. "I'll choose for you. You are immediately disowned from the Thompson family." Ethan suddenly looked up, staring at grandfather's unmoving, unemotional face, then deeply bowed his head again. "All right." The moment his forehead touched the ground, Ethan felt an unprecedented sense of relief. He could leave the Thompson family, but he couldn't be without Olivia. As he stood up, Summer, who had been hiding behind a screen, called out to him. "Ethan, you'd rather be disowned by the Thompson family than have me. I loved you so much, and I used every means to drive Olivia away for you. Why do you only have eyes for her? If I died, you wouldn't even bat an eye, would you?" Ethan didn't even look at her, walking straight out of his private study, retreat. Summer laughed sadly, tragically, then suddenly stood up, and rushed towards a traditional sculpture, intending to crash into it. Grandfather Thompson gestured for the bodyguards to stop her. "Don't defile this sacred place. Please escort Miss Summer out." Ethan visited unusually frequently during her hospital stay. Sometimes he brought the latest collection, seasonal designs, claiming they were clothes for me to change into. Other times he carried a thermos container, saying it was comforting soup broth specially made by his family's chef. Each time, Jax coldly blocked him from entering the hospital room. In the years we were together, he never cared about such trivial matters. He didn't even remember my birthday, but he remembered Summer's period. I suddenly burst out laughing. Jax, who was organizing the discharge papers, looked up, a bit bewildered. I laughed so hard I was rolling on the bed. "Ethan said I was the love of his life. You are the love of my life. It's too funny." Jax suddenly dropped the folder and pinned me to the bed, his eyes narrowing. "Olivia, you can think about men, but not that idiotic divorced guy." I stopped laughing and seriously asked him, "Can I really think about other men?" He pinched my earlobe, gritting his teeth. "Dream on." I rolled my eyes and pinched his cheek. "Jax, is it okay if I only think about you?" He suddenly sprang up, his ear tips flushed red. "Olivia, you got mischievous, learned some tricks, you actually learned how to charm a man." I picked up the pillow and threw it at him. He caught it steadily, grinning like a cat that got the cream. "You can only charm me, I fall for that, respond to that." On the day of the wedding, I saw Ethan in the last row of guest seats. He sat quietly in the corner, looking thinner and terribly gaunt. As Dad walked me down the aisle to Jax, he suddenly rushed onto the stage and blocked my path. Olivia, come with me. He reached out to pull me. I immediately dodged him. Ethan, at the last wedding, you left me in the car. And now you're here to cause a scene, disrupt the event again. What have I ever done to you? He shook his head frantically, his voice trembling. No, it's not like that. I refused to remarry Summer, and was disowned by the Thompson family. Now I only have you, Olivia. But I don't want you either, I scoffed. I'm sick of you, I'm so fed up with you. Please leave my life. That sentence seemed to sting him. He staggered backward, his Adam's apple bobbed, but he couldn't speak. Jack slowly walked over, his knuckles cracking. I gently pulled him, not wanting the wedding to be ruined. Dad spoke with a grim face. Ethan, do you want me to talk to your grandfather again? Ethan's face instantly turned ashen. He knew that this time, if Grandfather Thompson was alerted again, the consequences would be far worse than being disowned. He looked at me miserably, his voice so faint it was almost inaudible. Olivia, are we truly beyond repair? I didn't answer, simply held Jack's hand tightly and walked towards the wedding altar without looking back. Ethan stood silently for a long time under the guests' disdainful gazes, then walked out dejectedly. No one noticed Summer's sneaking figure hidden outside the hall. She rushed to the parking lot ahead of him. When Ethan appeared dazed, disoriented, she drove into him without hesitation. She used the very wedding car Ethan had driven so frantically to pick her up from the airport that day. Before dying, she got out of the car and desperately lunged into Ethan's arms. Ethan, you know that what I, Summer, want, I would never let go, even in death. When the news came, Jax and I were bickering, arguing. We couldn't agree on a honeymoon destination. So it turned into me pulling his ear, and him tugging my hair tie, until I suddenly leaned in and pecked his lips. Jax immediately took the lead and deepened the kiss. Olivia, I'm truly completely under your thumb, this lifetime. I put my arms around his waist. Isn't that good? He immediately nodded. Perfect.